Hello and welcome to another Reaconteur video, and in today's video I want to cover everything wrong with Type Soul's Hell update, from poor balancing to weird design choices and a few bugs. Real quick, I'm live on Twitch, come watch me on Twitch. I'm live on Twitch right now as of you watching this video. I am ranking your bedrooms and PC setups, so if you want to see that, I am live on Twitch doing that right now. Anyway, make sure to subscribe and let's get straight into it. Starting out with the bugs, most of these were various issues, with the whitelist not letting normal people play the game properly. So I actually personally didn't experience many bugs, but a few to list are data store issues, which range from people's banks getting wiped to people's slots getting completely wiped. Now, this was the only type of bug I actually faced because literally all my slots accessories tabs got wiped, which sucks because I lost a lot of accessories from codes that I can't get again unless the dev sets them on my slot. And even then, that doesn't fix the data store issues that most people definitely dealt with significantly, like how most people lost all their money and had all of their bank slots set to one of every item regardless of how many items they had in there. So a lot of people lost some very valuable stuff, which was really stupid. And along with that, there's a whole bunch of bugs, and pretty much all of them only really occur in Katakura Town. Number one being the fact that lots of players in KT couldn't run, attack, or be attacked after equipping their weapons, so they just get completely bugged. Then you have stuff like winning raids didn't matter because all the items you could sell to the raid win, like shop NPC, all the items would sell for 100 con, and since lots of people lost their money, in my case I lost all my money in accessories, I couldn't buy accessories from the shop because everything sold for dirt cheap. Which is why the clip playing right now is probably me jumping in a Reaconteur Keto user for taking the loot crate. Because it's annoying and I need shit, you fucking asshole. And of course, there were bugged hell spawns where they'd spawn on server refresh and then just never again, but I believe by now that should be fixed since I'm recording this video on Sunday. Right, so a lot of the stuff that they did was just really buggy, which it really feels unpolished because they did add a lot of new content, but the problem is they really didn't bug clear most of it, and I know why. Is because lots of the game's code is pretty old, or a lot of it just runs on spaghetti code that doesn't function properly, and rescripting the whole game would be quite the mess. But at some point, it feels like you really just should. Now, other than all that stuff, there are a lot of things I didn't like about the new release in terms of balancing and design choices. Now, first of all are clans. So pretty much every legendary, rarity, or above clan for every race got a new set of passives or skills. However, Quincy's and Fullbringers specifically got way overtuned in this aspect. So far Fullbringers aren't an issue since, nobody's really gotten them to Elite Grade or found out like their full potential yet. But let me list out what some of the clans do from both of these and then compare them to Soul Reaper and Reaconteur clans so you guys can see how crazy strong these are in comparison. For Fullbringers, I think this is the best clan in the game. Ginjo steals Reiatsu on hit, which is crazy considering they just standardized Reiatsu gain and regen, so now this is probably the best clan overall just because of this. They literally just went through the trouble of removing all the Reiatsu regen stuff and trying to kill the whole Reiatsu regen armor meta that was really toxic and really boring to play because fights would just come down to who has more Reiatsu. So they would buff Reiatsu and then they'd standardize the gain rates just to add a clan that can steal Reiatsu on hit. That's so stupid. Tsukishima makes it so whenever you deal significant damage to someone, they can't use a random hotbar move for X amount of time. It's like 20-30 seconds. Stupid. Really stupid. That's just, I don't know, it just cancels out combos, it just gives you less options for basically no reason. This is bad fighting game design. Look, I'll go more into that later, but next one, Michiban. It makes it so when your party member is knocked, or someone in your party is knocked, you get a minute-long speed and damage buff, and it stacks. So a minute of speed and damage is kind of crazy, okay, but it's whatever, right? Now these are the best ones, with the mythicals actually being rather mediocre, which is where if you deal damage without getting hit for the mythical, right, you get one free Reiatsu cost in your next skill. It's really not that good, because, if you deal like 100 damage and you don't get hit, you get one free skill, wow. Like that one free skill is going to matter in a fight where I'm flawlessing someone for 100 damage at a time? No, it's stupid. Then for Quincy's, we have Punctus, which makes it so after 3 skills used in a short time, one of the 3 you use in that chain gets a random free refresh. That is really dumb. I shouldn't have to explain why, but could you imagine if someone is like comboing you and they just use the same move twice to extend in the same combo and it's like their highest damage move or something? That's dumb. Then there's the Do clan, which has a 10% chance to tank 80% of all incoming damage with no cooldown. Sounds low, sounds whatever, but statistically, at least one fight will get carried by this perk. Statistically, at least one person will get absolutely carried because of this clan perk. And then there's Levar, which makes it so you have, enemy combat tags on you. The more there are, the more defense you get, so Dying also doesn't give health packs. Now this one is probably the most situational, and a lot of people won't use this because a lot of people like the ranked arena, but if you like the ranked arena, you're lame. But if I could have this on my Reaconteur, I would absolutely take it because I love being outnumbered in fights. Which is also why I really don't like the 1v1 arena, because it's kind of boring and it's a bit too easy most of the time. Now, in comparison, the best Soul Reaper clan passive is Shihoan, which gives greater, faster flash steps. Now, there's also Hyosube, which lets you throw out ink, and if it lands on anyone, they have halved Reatsu. Those are definitely the two best, but they're still pretty tame compared to these. And then for Arankars, they're honestly all whatever. Like Cypher, for example, is kind of just trash. It gives you a higher cooldown auto-tracking Bala. Like, really? Why? Because Ulquiorra was seen using Bala one time to flex on Ichigo. Why didn't you give them, like, some sort of regeneration? You know, like, that's kind of what Ulquiorra was known for, being the vampire one. But, you know, that would be kind of broken, so let's just give him a Bala, a move nobody uses anymore. And then Jagger Jack gives a slight speed and damage buff, which is pretty good, actually. But these are pretty lackluster in comparison to the passives I've read out for other clans. Now I get Quincy is generally considered the weakest at this point, but instead of making crazy clans, why not just make them less trash? Because when these clans aren't enough to carry the race and they get buffed crazy by Christie, now they're just going to be the best race in the game. And then making a clan that steals Reatsu right after standardizing Reatsu and removing all the regen and gain for it is such a dumb idea, I don't even know what to say about it. Along with that, the Excalibur sword is another thing that I hate. It is only wieldable by one Quincy player out of the entire game. This totally won't be awful. Realistically, it's going to get its requirements gatekept by either some loser tester who found it early or some mediocre YouTuber with 3,000 subs who's going to upload a video about ganking with Excalibur and then get 100,000 views off the hype. Then from there, it'll be gatekept for like 6 months until they add some sort of rotating cycle for it that's weekly or monthly or something. Regardless, a weapon which only one person can hold just isn't a great idea for any game. So far, nobody has it, but also what if 2 people in different servers pull it? Like, the game can't update across every server instantly, so what happens in this scenario? And yeah, you can lose the weapon, but what's stopping the same friend group who's gatekeeping it from sitting at the sword and pulling it as soon as their friend loses it in a fresh server? Nothing. This weapon is a bad idea, and if you're gonna do it, at least make it accessible for, you know, the other 3/4 of the game, or give them some sort of equivalent. Now, another thing I think is really poorly implemented is Ancient Bastokar. The main passive this race has is really stupid. Essentially, it reverses a guard break, and it's on like a minute or 2 long cooldown. So you have no reason to not just start out your fight by holding F, baiting a guard break, and getting a free combo starter. And if you do it early enough, you may get to use it twice per fight or multiple times per gank. This is a stupid ability. In any fighting game, regardless of the context, you should not get rewarded for playing poorly. This passive is a free cover option that rewards poor performance by reversing a guard break, and the reason how you can tell it's an awfully implemented passive is because the only way they could think of balancing it is by making the cooldown super long, right? If the only way you can balance something is by making it occur less, then maybe it just shouldn't exist. There's also a bunch of hidden passives which exist in it, so in time we'll see if it's even more broken, but as it is now, it's not a good addition with that singular passive. For a more detailed explanation, in fighting games, yes, Type Soul is a fighting game, it doesn't have to be 2D to be a fighting game, you have options. Your options cover enemy options and punish their predictable plays with your good plays. Getting guard broken is a punishment for being predictable or being too passive and holding F. If you get guard broken, a hit is what you deserve, and then you can potentially get comboed if you can't break out of it. You should be able to. Type Soul is pretty forgiving, generally. You can get out of combos after a hit, right? Now, this nullifies that and promotes a baiting playstyle where the enemy can't do anything but guard break you, and therefore get punished because you played lame, or B, if you don't bait, right? And regardless, the opponent gets punished for your mistake. It's simple fighting game design that you shouldn't get free value or value for a negative action like getting guard broken when you deserve to get punished. That is bad game design. Now, not necessarily a part of the update, but why isn't Ice Bankai nerfed yet? They were talking about nerfing Ice Bankai like a year and a half ago, but I guess they forgot about it. The auto-tracking AoE that shoots every second doing half a bar and freezing you for like 3 seconds at a time should probably get some sort of nerf, no? I only say this because I got 2v1 by Ice Bankai users and got shredded in like 5 seconds of doing nothing because I got freeze chained infinitely. And before you say, oh well, you could do that with any resurrection or any Bankai, or you use Stark. Sorry man, but Stark has been nerfed way too many times to make this valid when they have an AoE that kills you in 6 seconds, and Sarah Metralleta does like 2 bars at most, and it's a one-time use, okay? So I don't think that's a valid complaint. when Ice Bankai users can literally just sit in their AoE and camp you out for 5 seconds and you die. Now, that was kind of unrelated to the update, but yeah, Ice Bankai should probably be nerfed. Anyway, I don't really like how the devs try to sneak in soul vows like they're not all referential. Like, Vow of Luck is Hikari from JJK, Vow of Sacrifice is Virgil and Nero's Semi-Devil Trigger from Devil May Cry 4 and 5. I actually just played all the Devil May Cry games, so check out the live channel if you want to see my playthrough on all 5 of them. Now, the vows themselves aren't really a bad idea, but I think they're not particularly worth using at this point unless you want to specialize your entire build around it. Like, I don't think getting a vow would at all benefit my build, and I feel like vows as they are kind of in a similar spot to the hybrid races, where they just really aren't that worth using without specialization. Who knows, since these are universal, they might have more flexibility than, like, the stupid race hybrids, but these are just kind of weird. Now, as for the new medic tree, so medic has always been something I hated, and I still hate it. The new medic tree is actually most rewarding when played as a combat medic and through PvP and fighting. However, the effort required to do this when you could play passive and only be down like 10% fighting efficiency means that it's 10 times easier to play passive than aggressive, and it's only very slightly a worse playstyle as far as effectiveness goes. So every medic player is playing super passive. And the reason behind that is because Setro decided making combat medic was a good idea. Like, anyone playing medic is actually half decent at the game or capable of doing more than healing. I hate medic. It just sucks from every viewpoint. It's atrociously boring to play, both pre and post rework. I don't get how people enjoy that. Its entire kit is meant to be annoying support players, so it's not fun to go against even in a gank. And it's boring to fight because they either spend the whole fight super passive or they just run. And they've been doing this since pre-rework, and then medic players are complaining about, oh, they ruined medic. Nobody likes medic. You're the only person that likes medic. If you play medic, you are the only type of person that likes medic, because nobody likes medics. Nobody likes medics. Nobody likes anything about medics. Medic sucks and I hate it, and it shouldn't exist, and it shouldn't be necessary for anything in relation to PvP or PvE because it is so poorly designed. Not a singular person ever has enjoyed a medic player existing, except for the people that just are terrible at the game and need medics and ganks to stay alive, right? I hate medics. It just shouldn't exist. But you wanna know what I hate the absolute most? The font they give to the cat demon guy in the Highway to Hell. Why is it the hardest thing to read ever? I'm deciphering ancient scripture to understand half of what this guy is saying, so I can use context clues to figure out the other half of what he's saying, so I can find out that I have to find his 4 lame-ass crystals and then find him again just to not understand what he's saying before I go on to fight an Evangelion boss. Also, I know I'm gonna piss someone off. Evangelion is fucking terrible. The art is amazing, but everything else about it, the story and the characters are unredeemable. The characters are all terrible people, all unlikable. The story is pretty unredeemable as well. Genuinely, sorry. Like, I don't know the lore here because I couldn't read most of his text without straining my eyes, so I just didn't. The game really does need some sort of mechanic rework specifically for PvE, though, because this game has it wasn't designed with PvE in mind, and it makes the PvE weird and clunky where you end up either fighting an enemy or 30 people at once are fighting an enemy where the people deal more damage to you than the monster, right? Or you're gonna spend 2 minutes fighting one monster solo, and then you gotta do that 120 more times, like the first quest done in Ring 1 of Hell. Like, I'll talk more about Evangelion at the end of the video, because I know a lot of people are gonna be mad at that, right? The quest length goes by faster than you'd think. I did Ring 1 in like an hour and a half, so it's not the worst, but what is the worst is doing it with any more than a singular person, because half the time your HP drops to a bar because, you know, people in Hell are spamming Grand Ray Sero for some reason to hit the mobs, because the server size in Hell is too large for how small the spawn areas are. So you end up with like 8 people crowded to fight a few mobs, and these morons love spamming AoEs, which, by the way, M1s are more damage efficient and aren't annoying. Just M1 the enemies. It is faster and better for PvE most of the time unless you're fighting actual bosses. Just use your M1s. The only moves worth using are things that make you invincible, like dropping Fang, or moves that let you dodge, like dropping Fang. Right, my last video was mostly written in the testing period and pre-release, and a lot of people said I was glazing the game in that video, when it's literally just a compilation of patch notes and unbiased and updates and changes that they added, right? So if you said I was glazing because I made a video not shitting on the game to compile information, fuck you. Anyway, back to what I was saying about Evangelion. I don't like it in the slightest. I watched the entire thing. I think the art is amazing. I love the hand-drawn art style. It's great. But the characters are unredeemable. They're all terrible people, right? They're all just inherently terrible. I don't like any of the characters. And the story is kind of really nothing, because it's supposed to be what, like a representation of like some sort of fate that happens to them. So really nothing they do matters. But at the same time, it's like they don't really try to be good people either. So it's like, yeah, these terrible people are gonna have terrible things happen to them. You should feel sad. No, I'm not gonna feel sad. They're all awful, and I hate every character in the show. And then on top of that, every Evangelion, like, fan pretends like the themes in it are so deep. Like, the number one theme isn't supposed to be about, like, empathy and connecting with people, but, like, Charlotte's Web does it better than Evangelion, and it has characters that aren't terrible, and that book is for 6-year-olds! That book is for literal children, and it does it better than Evangelion, okay? It's really not that deep. People act like it's way too deep. They're reading too deep into it. It's not nearly that deep. The creators are just weirdos, which, the hospital scene, there's a lot more than that. You know, the fact Asuka's entire character, you know, she's kind of... She's probably the worst person in the entire thing. Look, it's just not good. The themes aren't that good. They're not that deep. Nothing about it is that good. And along with that, I think it has the #1 most glazed anime opening of all time. Look, I know, so I like actual music, right? I don't like anime openings, which is why I don't like the Evangelion opening. I think it's boring to listen to, and I don't like it in the slightest. And it's too reminiscent of the 80s. I'm not a very nostalgic person, and I don't really like a lot of that older stuff. But on top of that, it's like, I also don't like most of the Naruto openings. I think Naruto has some of the worst anime openings. Not that they're all, like, bad, like, as in they're the worst, like, they're poorly done. I like some of their endings more than the openings. But then, like, Naruto and Evangelion, they're just boring to listen to. Like, I'd never listened to any of that music ever in my entire life. Sorry, this is a completely random rant I put at the end of my video, because I know Evangelion fans are going to be mad, because it is the most overglazed show of all time. It's kind of like Akira. People glaze Akira a lot of the time for, like, what it did for anime. I watched Akira with my dad while we were both drunk one night, and it was really funny, but also it was like, we both agreed, yeah, that was overrated. Like, we get what it did for anime, but at the same time, it's a whatever story. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. Shoutouts to YouTube members Green, Brick, Goobka, High Card, and Jersey Drake Fan. I love you all. Have an amazing day. Check out the live channel, and goodbye.